Why is rotating objects in 3D software so hard? The mouse can't get to certain angles in a smooth motion. What if it was as simple as turning a ball? I spent the last 4 months making an off-the-shelf trackball work as both a mouse and a 3D controller. I didn't set out to build a product, but along the way, it replaced the 3D controller that I've used for over a decade. Here's the basic issue. A mouse moves in 2 axes, but a 3D object has 6 different ways it can move. 3 for translation and 3 for rotation. That's a fundamental mismatch. The most well-known solution to this is the SpaceMouse. It's a little joystick that sits next to your keyboard. You push and twist it to move the view. But it's got some real trade-offs. It takes your hands off the keyboard, so your shortcuts are hard to reach. And it's hard to learn. A lot of people try it and give up. Personally, I had accepted these trade-offs until I put my hand on a trackball and noticed something that its makers never realized. My mouse was making my wrist sore, so I got the Kensington SlimBlade Pro. I loved how solid and tactile it felt to roll this heavy sphere around. It has this cool twist to scroll feature. I'm sitting at my desk playing with it, and this idea hits me. This ball is rotating in all 3 axes, so why can't we use it to directly control 3D rotation? I couldn't let this idea go. The SlimBlade first came out in 2009. In order to make the twist scrolling work, they added a second optical sensor tracking the ball, but the built-in controller only outputs either cursor motion or scroll wheel steps. The true rotation is in there, but you can't get to it from the outside. I needed to go around the controller. So I opened the trackball up. I reverse engineered the sensor protocol, built custom firmware to decode the full 3D rotation, and then it worked. I spent hours playing with this cube, tweaking the calibration, rotating it again, and getting the feel exactly right. Something felt fundamentally different about this way of rotating objects, but I couldn't figure out what until I went back to the SpaceMouse. The SpaceMouse is rate control. You push on this joystick, and the view keeps moving until you let go. That's why it's hard to be precise. If you push a little too long, you overshoot. The trackball, on the other hand, is position control. If I move the ball an inch, the view moves proportionally. I can flick the ball without even looking, and my hand knows how far the model moved. You can't do that with a joystick. That alone had me hooked. But the SpaceMouse still does something a trackball can't. It has 6 degrees of freedom, so it can rotate and translate. So I added a mode switch. Hold down a button, and it controls translation instead of rotation. I tried a bunch of different mappings, but the one that clicked was using twist for depth. Push the side of the ball to slide into the screen. Pull it back, and it comes back towards you. I just remember thinking, why does this one feel so much more obvious? Now this ball can do everything the SpaceMouse can, full rotation and full translation, but it's position control, so it's fast and precise. That's when I realized this might actually be able to replace the SpaceMouse. I called it Rotatrix. If I stopped here, it'd be a dedicated controller, and it'd have the same problem with keyboard access as the SpaceMouse. But since it's already a trackball, what if I used it as my mouse too? One ball for all of it. By default, it's a mouse that points and clicks. When I hold down Control, it rotates the model, and when I add Shift, it pans and zooms. That's 8 degrees of freedom. 3 rotation, 3 translation, and 2 for the cursor, and my other hand never leaves the keyboard. I can still use it alongside my mouse as a dedicated 3D controller, but in practice, it's replaced my mouse completely. Now I wanted to know, was it just me, or would other people want this too? So I posted clips to a few subreddits. The reaction was bigger than I expected. There were CAD users from hobbyists to professionals telling me they'd been frustrated with 3D navigation for years. That was the sign I needed. But before I could ship anything, I needed to take it from a demo to a smooth experience in professional software. Take orbiting a model, for example. If I'm far from the pivot, a tiny rotation will send the model flying off the screen. So I built deeper integration with each app, starting with Fusion 360. It picks up the surface under the cursor. Now the model rotates around whatever I'm pointing it at. Once the software was solid, I started building these in small batches, soldering them in my apartment, packing them one at a time, and getting them into customers' hands. Users keep coming back with one word: intuitive. Remember that learning curve problem with the SpaceMouse? This doesn't have one, because you already know how to rotate a ball. And the trackball to do it has had the right sensors since 2009. It just needed the right hardware, firmware, and software to unlock it. The seed was there the whole time. In another video, I'll dig into a principle that explains why some tools feel natural while others feel like you're fighting them. Once you see it, you'll notice it everywhere. Subscribe to follow along. And if you want to know when the next batch will ship, sign up at rotatrix.com.